Hello and welcome to Christmas Eve on the Drawing Animal Podcast. I am your host, Wesley Bear, and yeah, so Merry Christmas Eve to you all, and let's get down to it, and then I'll finish off with some closing remarks at the end. Again, thank you all for listening, and we just have one more before the end of the year. So here we go. Um, So today's episode is about the Tundra Swan. The Tundra Swan is, again, one of six species of swans, of which underneath the Tundra Swan are two kind of subgroups or subspecies, uh, Bewick's and the Whistling Swan. But the variances are pretty much indistinguishable. It's pretty much just a matter of how black the beak is. Um, with a little bit of yellow. In Beckwith's, the yellow is the most pronounced. In the Whistling, the black is more pronounced. But all have just a slight variation on that. They're also known for their kind of straight necked posture, which is kind of sets them apart from some of the other swans. They don't have that curved S like, say, the black necked or the mute, more specifically. Um, They are found, of course, in the Arctic Circle. Bewick's is found more on the Old World continent of kind of just above Russia and the UK, and they will migrate further south. And the whistling is more common here in the US, migrating down the coasts of um, both sides of the Pacific and the Atlantic all the way down to about on the Atlantic coast, about northern New England and Maine, all the way down to about Oregon, Washington area on the Pacific side. And then most of northern Canada, they will is their breeding season ground. So a bit further south, but again, not much further south, just warm enough where they're not just freezing their tail feathers off. So otherwise, they will pretty much stay within that Arctic Circle area. When they're migrating or living in their kind of wintering grounds, they prefer estuaries, lakes, ponds, slow moving rivers, and when they're ready to breed, they will move upward onto land and have their chicks on a nice open space of land, where they will, of course, build their nests. Um, the nests are about 1 foot in diameter and kind of basically a low mound area. So just pretty much in any open space. Um, the eggs uh, will be about 4 to 5 at a time, with up to seven. They'll take about a month for them to hatch. And then the young swans will stay around with mother and father. Mother and father do take turns helping to rear both the eggs and chicks. And so after several months, they'll be ready to fledge and fly, but they will tend to stick around at as a little bit later as winter sets in, just so they can make sure everything is kind of up and up and they don't aren't trying to survive the heavy weather on their own. But soon afterwards, when the winter has subsided, they will be ready to fly on their own. They will eventually form pair bonds with another swan at 2 to 3 years old, and those tend to be permanent life choices or lifestyle uh, for these swans. Um, in terms of food, when they're out on those low grounds, of course, they're feeding mainly on seeds, and basically they'll feed on any kind of grain that's been kind of spilled over or not picked up by farmers, and they'll feed on that. When they're all um, at home in their northern habitats or along in coastal region, they prefer aquatic plants like algae, kelp, seaweeds, um, and they will, like a lot of birds, will dabble under about 3 feet of water in order to snip up those juicy plants. Um, Thankfully, due to their very kind of strong migratory flocks, which can be hundreds, if not thousands, of birds, and just the reduced hunting and all sorts of stuff that are pretty common. There's about 280,000 birds left. Their only real predators are pretty much not even humans, but just the local wildlife, which can include wolves, foxes, bears, birds such as eagles, and even gulls. Gulls are most common nuisances, for they will both snatch away food from swans and will also occasionally steal the occasional swan egg. So those are kind of the generality of what these swans have to look for uh, to fighting off. But other than that, they are actually doing pretty well overall. So there we are. I did it because, again, 12 days of Christmas, 7 swans a swimming. So I figured we get in some birds. And plus, swans in themselves are actually pretty fierce animals. Gull may take a chance, but they can end up being pretty fierce, especially in huge groups. And there's definitely more than 7 swans of swimming when they're migrating and breeding together. So better watch out for an angry swan. But there you are. So here we are, Christmas Eve, and I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas day. Just thank you all once again for listening. Um, have a wonderful rest of the year. Um, I will do a Christmas Eve episode, but just in case you don't get around to listening to that, or just all sorts of the other priorities that you have. Um, Thank you all so much for listening. I'll be putting out something on Christmas Day for the next 12 days. Once again, 12 days of Christmas, though it'll be a little different than focusing on birds. So uh, look forward to that. And so, yeah. Again, you can get my books, The Crazy Creatures, on Amazon. And yeah, just have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas season. And remember uh, our Savior Jesus Christ, the Lord and Creator, who made himself part of creation and entered into it. So he not only created it, but he's a part of it, which is an amazing thing to think about. And he did it all so we could be free from the all the trials of this world, all the fears and the doubts and the uncertainties and the pains of this world, including the pains and we create for ourselves. Um, yeah, he is here and uh, he is with us, Emmanuel. So thank you so much for listening and God bless. And once again, remember, enjoy nature, enjoy drawing, enjoy God's creation, and have a wonderful day.